Good.
Hello again.
Hey, how's your putting?
It's a little bit better. I've actually been taking, since the last time I saw you, I've been taking lessons from I guess you could say a club pro.
Oh,
So
good.
I'm coming along. I go to the driving range and I hit the balls and they mostly go straight with my 8 iron. I do
Okay.
have clubs now, so I'm a terrible driver, but that's part of being 5'7" and having short, bulky arms.
Well,
So, but I'll work on it.
good. Well, keep up the spirit.
Yeah, of course. It's lots of fun. So tell me a little about this tournament that you are involved in. I mean, obviously you've won a little bit of everything in your career, and you've
Yeah.
got some of the top player. Well, it sounds like most of the top players in the LPGA. I guess one thing I'm interested in is for a top flight athlete, you are one of the more calmer people I've ever met. So do you ever get this competitive drive that makes you kick yourself and wish you were still competing, when you want to get out
Uh,
and beat everybody, or does it not really work that way?
no, I mean, this is not a, comeback. This is not a second wave of my career or anything like that. As you know, I got my family, I got my businesses, and I'm totally content with that. I think, what makes this exciting and special for me is, first of all, it's a tournament in Orlando. It's Tournament of Champions.
Yeah.
And Mike Flasky, who's the CEO of Diamond Resorts, he's put on this great tournament. I mean, it's just a fun concept where the LPGA gets to play with celebrities. They do a lot of fun stuff around it. There'll be a little different, I think, obviously next year. But it's just been a very popular event. The players been watching, and being here in Orlando, I felt like I wanted to be a part of it. And so we discussed and say, how can we work together? You're all about, supporting the women. We're here in town. You want to grow the game of golf, and I have my foundation. So we just came up with, a nice agreement where, I support the tournament, hopefully help increase the awareness of LPGA and, female athletes. And then he helps me with the foundation. We'll be hosting our tournament in 22 around the corner. And some of these girls will have a chance to be part of some of the festivities, so that will inspire them and motivate them. So I think it's a win-win situation, and I love what they do for the charity. So it's like, okay, we check this, we check this, we check this, and this is fun.
Good deal. So yeah, there's a couple of players such as Jin Young Ko and who've been pretty dominant this year, and Lexi Thompson is always up there in the top 5 or top 10. But then you've also got some players like who are really kind of on fire, like Nelly Korda and Brooke Henderson. So we're in the middle of December now, and this tournament is going to take place in January, as I understand it. It's kind of unusual type of year, a little bit off season. And we're not going to be able to see like what all these players did, let's say, in the last couple of weeks, the way we did, 6 months ago. So how does that shape? How does it take shape on the links? And who might you predict to be dominant in this tournament?
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, this year has been a crazy year. It's been weird in so many different aspects. I think really, I'm just happy that LPGA got a chance to play. We know a lot of sports haven't even done their sports. The LPGA got to play, literally the last 4 or 5 months, and I think it's been great for the ladies to go out there and pursue their dream and make a living, as a lot of people have struggled to do. So to have a major in December, it's a very unusual. Everything has been kind of cramped in a short period of time. So we're not really going to have a lot of an off season. So I would say that a lot of players are playing well now. Is most likely going to play very well in January. There won't be a big, turnaround. A lot of players are going to continue to play. And you mentioned some big names that are very consistent. That are up there all the time. I would expect them to be here too. I mean, they will have. I think right now they have 40 players that will be competing from the LPGA. I don't know if that would change, here and there. But so this is really the stars of the LPGA that's here. So it's going to be a good event, and this will kick off the season. Hopefully it will be a good one.
Well, good. So most of the players, at least at the top of the LPGA rankings, are either Americans or they're from Asia. I know that we've talked a little bit about Madeline Sagstrom in the past.
Yeah.
What's your purview on European players? It's weird because in some sports like soccer, Europe is obviously the place that the best players want to be.
Mm-hmm.
From our perspective, maybe my perspective as a golf observer and someone who watches on TV, Europe seems like a little bit of the wilderness. But I mean, having come from Scandinavia, what people play like there, how often they play, and what the talent pool potential is. So, are there any surprises, or maybe any new names and faces coming out of Europe in the coming years?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think it's very cyclical. I mean, it goes like this. Like now, we have some U.S. at the top. For a while, there really wasn't that many U.S. players. Now we're seeing it again with, Nelly Korda is one of them. And we've seen a few players from Korea, for sure, the last literally 15 years. They have such a pool of great players. When it comes to Europe, it's been a little bit of a drought. I mean, we've had some great success from whether it was Mel Reid that just won this year. I mean, that was quite the story. She's from England.
Yeah.
I look at the U.S. Open this past week. We had 10 Swedes. We had several amateurs, just to focus on that, because I see them through the Annika Foundation. They have played in Annika Invitational. They now play in college. So I think that give them, 3-4 years, and they will turn professional, and then will kind of come around the corner and they will play on the LPGA. So it's just very cyclical. It goes up and down. I think that's what makes it exciting. I mean, we're seeing players from Philippines. We're seeing upcoming players from Canada, as you mentioned, with Brooke Henderson. So it's a global game. It's constantly going to change. And so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, Maria Fassi, who I think is a tremendous player, she's from Mexico. She really hasn't got off to the start that maybe we thought she would have, with so much potential. So, she might be somebody that next year, that with a little bit more experience under the belt, she might have a good year next year.
So the noise in the background sounds like me at the driving range hitting the top of the platform.
Yeah, I wish it was.
Cool.
I think the only thing you see is the banner behind it. They're all cleaning it all up. So it's all fancy what you see.
Yeah, I was hoping that wasn't your caddy in the background having a hit or something. Well, speaking of joking around, I know that you have planned to partner with Henrik Stenson on a co-ed tournament that we talked about several months ago in Sweden. I know you're focused on the tournament champions right now, but I think it's pretty interesting that that generally there's a push for men and women to compete in the same tournament, and you're on the forefront of that. So you're going to see the tournament champions here, some of the best talent in the women's game, and I think a lot of people who follow golf are abreast of what Dustin Johnson's doing, and even what Ricky Fowler is doing, even though he's not in the top 10. So talk about that. Talk about men and women competing, and sort of what's exciting about that from your point of view as a pro.
Yeah. So as you know, I mean, you brought it up. Unfortunately, this year the tournament didn't happen. But we just decided to postpone it. We're going to do it next year. We're superly excited, and we think it's a fun concept. I mean, it's in Europe. It's in Sweden. I think the location and the concept is good. I mean, Sweden is kind of known as more of a gender neutral than a lot of places. So I think it's a good start. It's a good testing point, if you know what I mean. I think it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic of who's playing. It's going to be interesting to see the course setup, which I think is really important. I mean, it's about setting up fair and square. I mean, that's what needs to be done. Otherwise, forget about the concept if it's not done correctly. I think that, with Henrik and myself as being kind of the leaders in golf in Sweden, I think it's a fun combination. I mean, he's a fun guy. He's passionate about the golf in Sweden. I'm passionate about my junior girls, and so I think together, it's a good concept, and we'll see how it will be received. I mean, we've always had a men's tournament and a women's tournament. The last few years, the women's event hasn't been there. Now we literally put them together. So this will be the only big tournament that they have as far as global reach. So I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be a little bit of a celebration, a little bit of a party is the concept. We'll see if that would happen because of COVID. But the idea is to celebrate golf in Sweden and bring people out from all over the place and celebrate rather than just focus on the competition. So I'm excited. We'll see how it goes, and we'll kind of take it from there. If that's a concept that will continue, or if it's just a one-time, that's to be determined.
Well, last question. I got the great pleasure of talking with, speaking of funny guys, Henrik Tense is pretty funny, but I would probably venture to say that David Feherty is a little bit funnier than most people. But I talked to him, and he joked around about his his success and failures in life, and we got to kind of the serious stuff about who he'd want to play with. I don't remember if he brought this up or I did, but he mentioned his dream four was playing with his dad, playing with Jack Nicklaus, and playing with you. Now, have you ever actually played golf with David Feherty or Jack Nicklaus? I suppose you have, but I don't know. Tell me about what your experience with playing with those two guys. And
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously they're polar opposite, Mr. Nicklaus and Feherty. I can show you. So I did one of those live Feherty shows. It wasn't live, but he came in and did an interview.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's hysterical. I mean, he is so funny. He's kind of like off the wall type of stuff. I don't know where it comes from, but he's super smart, and I enjoyed the interview. And when he came to the house, we had a break, and I couldn't find him, and so we were like, where is he? And then I looked under the table. He's taking a nap under the table, and then he wakes up and he goes, "Where's the darkest room in your house?" I said, "Well, maybe a closet somewhere." He pulls out these night goggles, like they have in the military. You can see in the dark. He goes, "I got to show you something." And we're having a break of this interview, and the guy is putting these night goggles on and trying to, because he's into the military and all of that. And I was just,
this is at your house?
At my house. He brought his night goggles or whatever they are. So I was like, "What are you looking for?" Anyway, I will never forget. He's a piece of work, and I've done some charity events with him. He's super generous. He's fun. And he keeps you on your toes for sure. Jack, on the other hand, is a lot more low-key. We don't have the same type of stories, the same type of humor, but a good guy in another way.
Good deal. Well, thanks for taking time to talk to me, and
Yeah. Good to see you. Yeah.
Good to see you again.
Keep up the good work.
Yep.
Take care.